What's going on, guys? This is Haysoose here to bring you another League of Legends video. Today I'm going to be showing you how to play League of Legends. So if this is your maybe you've played a couple times, you're not familiar with exactly what's going on when you play the game, or maybe you haven't even played the game at all yet. This video is for you. It's just going to show you kind of the basics of what's going on inside of a League of Legends game. If you can and you do like the video, please leave me a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, so first we're sitting here in front of a picture of Summoner's Rift. This will be the map that 90% of your games are played on, most likely if you're playing in the standard modes for the most part. So to start off for the very basics, obviously there are two teams in each League of Legends game. So each team in League of Legends starts on each side of their map. So there's the blue team and there's the red team. And as you can see on the circles here on the screen, the red team starts in the top right hand corner of the map. The blue team starts in the left lower corner of the map. And then each team has their own nexus, which that's the central point of League of Legends. That's the structure that each team is trying to defend of theirs and destroy of their enemies. So the entire point of League of Legends in each game on Summoner's Rift is to destroy the enemy team's bases, which are each circled here on the screens. Each nexus that each team has, each has its own pair of Nexus turrets. So there are two turrets that stand right in front of the Nexus, and before any team can attack the Nexus, they must take down each of these two turrets. So once you get past the Nexus and the Nexus towers, it will split up into three ways, and these are called lanes. And then each lane, right before you get to the lane from the base, you'll come to an inhibitor. And the inhibitor we'll get to later, but it's another structure that can be destroyed. And defending each inhibitor is an inhibitor turret. Similar to Nexus turrets, the inhibitor cannot be destroyed until the inhibitor turret is destroyed. Extending further out into the map are the lanes. So you have the top lane, which is located on the top side of the map. You have the middle lane, which is commonly referred to as the mid lane, which is the central point of the map. And then you have the bottom lane, which is at the bottom side of the map. And each lane has two turrets per lane, if you don't include each inhibitor turret as well. So at 1 minute and 5 seconds, 6 minions spawn in each lane for each side of the team. You'll have 3 melee minions and 3 caster minions in the first wave. At the beginning of the game, every third wave also spawns a siege minion, which is the cannon style minion that you see here on the screen. And the siege minion is tankier and does more damage than both of these other types of minions. Later on into the game, siege minions will start spawning more frequently, going from every third wave to every other wave to eventually every wave. As we discussed about the inhibitors, they are destroyable structures. When you destroy an inhibitor in whichever lane, that lane will then spawn super minions from that point for the next 5 minutes. Super minions are even more difficult to kill than either the siege minions, melee minions, or the caster minions. Now we get to the fun part about the champions. So the champions are the characters that each player actually controls in League of Legends. And as we discussed, there are 5 players per team. Different strategies have emerged over the years that determine how many champions should go in each lane, what roles should be played in each lane, so on and so forth. Now that the game is about 10 years old now, certain strategies have been defined to be better than others. The strategy that's accepted across the board as the most efficient strategy in the game is often referred to as the meta. And the meta has remained fairly consistent over the years with a couple of different variables. But generally speaking, roles are as follows. In the top lane, you'll have one champion per team. That champion is usually either a tank or a bruiser, generally melee. They tend to be champions that can survive a lot since they tend to be on their own throughout most of the early game. You'll also only have one champion per team in the middle lane. The most consistent role played in the middle lane is usually some type of mage or some champion that does some form of ability damage. And then in the bottom lane, you'll usually have two champions go per team. One of the champions is an attack damage based marksman. These champions are usually ranged, do weak damage in the early game, but scale up throughout the game as they get items and level up. To help them with their weaker early games, there's a champion that usually goes with them that's referred to as the support role. The support role tends to be either a tank or some kind of enchanter mage that goes with the attack damage carry into the bottom lane. These champions usually have either high base damage or lots of crowd control or some sort of utility like heals or shields to help the attack damage carry. Now you'll notice we only have 4 champions from each team in each of these lanes currently. That's because there's one position we haven't yet talked about. And that position is the jungle. The jungle is probably the most versatile role in League of Legends. You'll see anything from tanks to assassins into the jungle. There are even a couple of marksmen that are able to do it. Unlike laners, whose primary role is to kill minions throughout the game to get their income so that they can buy items and become more powerful, the jungle's role is a bit different. There are different camps that are just scattered amongst into the jungle that the jungler will kill to get experience and gold to level up and get stronger items throughout the game. As they kill these camps, they become slightly stronger, get their abilities similar to that of the laners, but they usually are hidden in the fog of war. After they get to a place where they're relatively high health, maybe they have some of their resource bars like mana or energy so they can cast their spells, junglers fulfill probably the most important role that they have in League of Legends. Ganking. So ganking is the process of usually a jungle champion coming out of the fog of war, usually to the surprise of the enemy laner, so that they can team up on the enemy laner with their laner. In this example that I have on the screen, Annie is pushed far forward into her lane, much closer to Ryze's tower than to Annie's. Amumu takes advantage of that by coming through the side brush from behind and possibly picking up a kill, setting Annie back. This is what makes jungler such an important position in League of Legends. Most of the time it's a fair fight throughout the laning phase of each of these games. But the jungler creates opportunities to have favorable matchups in certain situations and possibly creates a 2 versus 1 or a 3 versus 2 scenario. As the game goes on and champions kill minions and themselves and each other, and junglers get ganks off, each of the champions becomes stronger and they level up. Each time you level up in League of Legends, you get the ability to put a point into one of the 4 abilities that your champion does. On top of that, they earn gold by killing minions and getting kills, and that gold can be used to purchase items at the shop in your base. And these items make your character exponentially more powerful, which ultimately results in getting more kills and more gold and more experience. That experience and gold and item lead can really help you push the minion wave further into the enemy turrets, being able to destroy their structures, their turrets, their inhibitors, ultimately their nexus towers and their nexus. But there are a couple of other objectives that'll help you along the way. After the first few minutes in a game, the elemental dragons start to spawn. There are 4 different types: the mountain, the infernal, the cloud, and the ocean. And each one of these dragons gives your team a specific stat boost. The mountain dragon helps you destroy structures faster. The infernal dragon gives you more attack damage or ability power. The cloud dragon gives you more out of combat movement speed. And the ocean dragon gives you more regeneration in your health and in your mana. The dragon pit, where all of these dragons spawn, is on the bottom side of the map. On the opposite side of the map, you have what's called the barren pit. And in the barren pit, you have 2 creatures that spawn. One is the Rift Herald. The Rift Herald spawns at 10 minutes and stays until 19 minutes and 30 seconds, unless you're fighting it at that time, in which case it will stay until 1950. If you kill the Rift Herald, you can pick up the Eye of the Herald. The Eye of the Herald can then be used in a lane, and the Rift Herald will come and actually help you take down towers. It does huge amounts of damage to towers. As I said, the Rift Herald despawns at the very latest at 19 minutes and 50 seconds into the game. And at 20 minutes, Baron Nashor spawns. Baron Nashor is who you see on your screen right now. And if you kill this giant worm, your team gets a huge stat bonus. It also gives an aura ability, which powers up minions that are nearby you to make them more difficult to kill, and they do more damage. The Baron buff is arguably the best buff in the game, especially when it comes to actually ending the game. Get the Baron buff, team up with your team, and run with minions down the lane and destroy some towers. Maybe even take the Nexus. But maybe you're having trouble actually ending the game, or even getting Baron. And if that's the case, at 35 minutes, do I have the fix for you? Because at 35 minutes is when the Elder Dragon spawns. And the Elder Dragon both gives you a boost on all of the previous elemental dragons that you've killed throughout the game, but also gives you an in-combat boost where each of your attacks actually deal damage over time in the form of a burn. Take the Elder Drake when you're ready to close out the game and you can't quite kill enough people to make that last move that you need to. Or maybe you guys are both stalling around Baron trying to figure out who's actually going to take it. If you can send a couple people over here to kill the Elder Dragon, shore up that buff for the next team fight, then you guys will be taking Baron and taking their Nexus in no time. Well, that's the end of the video, guys. I hope you learned a little bit about the basics of League of Legends. I plan on coming out with some more in-depth videos in the future to help you out. So please feel free to leave a comment below letting me know what you want to hear some tips on. With that said, make sure you subscribe to the channel to make sure you get notified next time I post a video. And if you like the video, please give me a thumbs up. I certainly appreciate it, and it helps the channel out. Well, thank you guys again for watching the video. I'm Haysoose, and I'll see you guys next time.